Welcome to your first day on the job as a steel production worker. We're currently located inside the main control room that overlooks the production floor. Today, we'll be working on part of the steel production cycle where we mix scrap metal with molten iron inside a basic oxygen furnace to produce molten steel. This will involve operating different large machines, including overhead magnet cranes and huge iron ladles. The first thing we need to do today is put on our safety equipment. You've already got on your fire resistance jumper, but we'll also need a hard hat, earplugs, and our safety glasses. There are a lot of very hot liquids being handled on the production floor, so we'll need to be sure to wear proper personal protective equipment. Grab the hard hat, safety glasses, and earplugs from the desk on your right and put them on. All right, looks like they fit well. Now we're ready to begin working. Grab the work order on the clipboard hanging from the desk on your right and check to see what we'll need to make today. Looks like we're going to produce grade 310 stainless steel. There are several classes and grades of stainless steel we can produce, and normally we would check our library to determine how to make grade 310 steel. However, we've had some technical problems and our library has gone down. So we'll need you to manually select the quantity of the main elements that go into making this grade of stainless steel. First, we'll need to input how much carbon we need. To input the amount of carbon we'll need, press the button in front of you labeled C. Next, let's check your work order to see how much carbon we'll need. Input 1 carbon by grabbing the lever below the right screen and slide it up. On the right screen, you should see the amount of carbon go up. Once you hit your desired amount, press the Enter button to the left of the lever. Now you'll need to set the quantity of the other 6 elements. Select the element you wish to set on the keyboard in front of you. Determine how much of that element you'll need, then input the quantity and hit Enter. I'll give you some feedback as you go in case something looks off. Good luck! That value isn't correct. Look at your work order and try again. Those values all look correct. Great job. Now we'll head over to the production floor and get started with the process of making steel. To move to the cabin, press the green button on the left side of the desk. Welcome to your second workspace for the day. From here, we will be mixing the required materials to produce stainless steel inside the large oxygen furnace down on the floor. We'll have to load up our scrap box with scrap metal, add that to the oxygen furnace, then pour in molten iron. Before we begin, I'll give you a brief overview of the various controls in front of you, as there are quite a few. First, we have a large red joystick on the right that controls the horizontal movement of the machines, moving them left and right, forward and backward. To the right of that joystick, we have a small sliding lever that will change which of the various machines we control. Next to that sliding lever, we have a button that will activate the machines. On the left, we have a blue lever, which controls the vertical movement of the machines. There are several other buttons, but for now, I've deactivated them, as we won't need them today. Above you, there are two screens that will display helpful information about the machines that are currently being controlled by the cabin. Alright, that's it for our brief overview. Now let's get down to business. I've just called our skip operator, and he's sending a rail car full of scrap metal our way. You should see it coming over from the left side of the factory along the tracks. Our first task of the day will be moving the scrap metal from the rail car into our scrap metal box. To do this, we will take control of our large magnet crane. Grab the sliding lever on your right and move it to the top position, which will change the controls to the magnet crane. The top two screens will now display some helpful information about the magnet crane. Now that we're operating the magnet crane, I'll walk you through each control one at a time. First, the red joystick on the right. This will move the magnet crane horizontally left and right. Try moving the crane back and forth now. To move the magnet crane up and down, use the blue lever on the left side of the cabin. Try moving the magnet crane up and down. And finally, we can magnetize or demagnetize the crane using the button on the right side of the cabin. I've turned on some safety protocols so that we won't be able to drop scrap metal onto the production floor, as that would be very dangerous. To start, get the magnet crane just above the rail car. The screen above you shows exactly where you'll need to get the crane, as it can be hard to judge distance from here. Alright, now let's magnetize the crane. Press the button and watch as the crane picks up a bunch of scrap metal. Next, we'll need to get the crane into position just above the scrap box. You can check the screen above you to see where you'll need to get the crane. Press the button to demagnetize the crane and watch as it drops the metal into the scrap box. Great job! You can see how much scrap metal can fit into the box on the screen above you. Move the crane back over to the rail car and collect another load of scrap metal. When you've filled the scrap box, I'll give you a call back and we'll move on to the next steps. Looks full. Now, before we can control the scrap box, we'll need to move the magnet crane out of the way. Move the crane up above the production floor, indicated with a blue hologram. Now we need to move the cabin so that we have a better view of where we'll be dumping the scrap metal. Press the green button on the left side of the cabin now. Alright, we need to switch over to control the scrap box. Grab the sliding lever and move the handle down by one position to change the cabin controls to the scrap box. Now that we have a better view of the oxygen furnace, I'll go over how to control the scrap box. It controls a little similar to the magnet crane. The joystick on the right controls the horizontal movement, but you can now also move the box forward and backward. Try moving the scrap box around now by grabbing the right joystick. The lever on the left side of the crane can control the vertical movement of the scrap box, similar to the magnet crane. Try moving the box up and down by using the lever on the left side of the cabin. Before we move the scrap box into position, we'll need to call the team inside the pulpit and get them to tilt the oxygen furnace down, allowing us to dump in our scrap metal. Grab the walkie-talkie and give them a call. Now we can move the scrap box into dumping position. You can use the screen above you to see exactly where the scrap box needs to be before you can unload the metal into the furnace. Be careful not to hit anything. Press the button on the right side of the cabin to dump the scrap metal into the oxygen furnace. Steel industry workers melt, mold, and form iron ore and other materials to make the iron and steel used in countless products. These workers operate furnaces, molding equipment, and rolling and finishing machines to make iron pipes, grates, rods, wires, and plates. That was quite the show. That should be all the scrap metal we need. Now move the scrap box out of the way and be sure not to hit anything. We'll need the pulpit crew to tilt the oxygen furnace back to its upright position. Give them a call with the walkie-talkie. Our next step is adding in the molten iron that was produced elsewhere in our plant. The mixer operators have already filled the ladle with molten iron, which you can see to the right. We'll need to switch over to control the iron ladle. Grab the sliding lever and move the handle down by one position to change the cabin controls. First, call the pulpit crew on the walkie-talkie and get them to tilt the oxygen furnace down. All right, time to add our molten iron. Controlling the iron ladle is the same as the scrap box. To move the iron ladle horizontally, use the joystick on the right. To move the iron ladle up and down, use the lever on the left. Get the iron ladle into position, just in front of the oxygen furnace. Like the scrap box, the screen above you shows exactly where you'll need to move the ladle. Now that it's in position, press the same button you used for the scrap box to dump the molten iron into the oxygen furnace. Watch as the hot iron pours into the furnace. It'll be quite the show. Iron and steel products range from carpentry nails to building girders, and from cars to guitar strings. That view never gets old. Give the pulpit team a call on the walkie-talkie and ask them to tilt the oxygen furnace back to its upright position. All right, and finally, let's move the iron ladle back to the right so the mixer operators can get another load of molten iron ready. That's all the work we'll be doing in our cabin. For the next steps, we'll head back to the control room where we started our day. Press the green button on the left side of the cabin now. Welcome back to the control room. From here, we'll need to add the alloying elements for grade 310 stainless steel and then perform what's called a heat, where the mixture is blasted with oxygen to mix and heat the materials, resulting in the production of steel. Call the pulpit crew on the walkie-talkie and ask them to add the required elements. That should only take a minute. Alloy steels, like the grade of steel we're producing today, are made by combining carbon steel with different alloying elements, such as manganese, silicon, or nickel. These metals are added to produce specific properties that are not found in regular steel. All right, with those alloys added, we can prepare for the heat. To perform the heat, we will be using an oxygen lance. This device can blast our mixture with high-pressure oxygen, which will both mix and increase the temperature of the contents inside the oxygen furnace. We can control the oxygen lance using the lever on the right side of the desk. Grab the sliding lever on the right and pull it towards yourself, which will lower the oxygen lance into the furnace. Move the lance all the way down until it can't go any farther. You can check the screen behind the lever to see how much the lance has moved. Now, turn on the oxygen lance by pressing the button to the left of the sliding lever. Watch as the molten iron mixture is blasted with oxygen, producing a small fireworks show. It'll take a bit for the mixture to be melted down into the grade of stainless steel we set out to make. Most iron is made into steel in one of three kinds of furnaces: the basic oxygen furnace, which is what we're using today, the open hearth furnace, and the electric furnace. Quite an impressive display. Now, remove the oxygen lance by grabbing that lever on the right and pushing it away from yourself. Our molten steel is now ready for further testing. We'll need to pour the steel into rail cars that move in underneath the furnace. Use the buttons on the left side of the desk to tilt the oxygen furnace to an angle of 90 degrees, which will allow the liquid steel to pour out into the rail car below. I'll let you know when the rail cars are full. Now that the rail cars are full, our engineer team can test our steel to make sure it's correct. They will also be removing the residual materials from the process, called slag, from the oxygen furnace. This gets put into a different rail car and is recycled into the plant and used for something else. The engineer said the contents of the steel is accurate. Great job! That's everything for today. Thanks so much for your help.